Just over 3 weeks ago was the last time Outriders received an update, and it doesn't get any better from there. So on the 13th, they put out a developer update saying that they were hoping to release a patch, and they couldn't make it. They made the difficult decision to push it back by 2 days. They encountered 2 different crash scenarios. A rare issue that after installing the patch appeared to cause the game to crash on launch for a small number of testers. And then after a certain number of the crashes, the game launched without any issues, and the crashes didn't reappear. They never actually stated how many launches they had to do to stop the crash happening. And then the second issue was an issue that can cause the game to crash for players when returning to the lobby from a multiplayer session. So they had 2 different types of crashes, but the first one was a rare issue. And all they have done since then is made that their priority. But this was on the 13th of July, and 2 days later on the 15th, they released the update anyway. And I said in a video previously, if I remember correctly, that was probably the best decision they could have made. However, I didn't realise the depth this actually went to and what it would do for the development of the patches, releasing the patches. So now, moving 3 weeks on, they still can't get another patch out because this crash, they don't know how to fix it. There's a really bad thing in here. So we'll quickly go through the patch news for the Developer Thursday, Dev News Thursday or whatever. This is from August 5th. So they know the players are hoping for a patch. They were hoping for it too. Unfortunately, due to the ongoing crash on boot issue that's continuing to block the release, the patch will not be arriving this week. As their investigation into the crash issue has progressed, they've implemented a number of targeted hotfixes onto the latest patch build, but they've proved ineffectual against the issue that they're focusing on in particular. So they're focusing on one issue when they stated there were at least 2. And not only that, each hotfix itself can take a couple of days to be developed, cooked and tested, and their teams have continued to work tirelessly, including over the past weekend, and work may well continue through this upcoming weekend. That is the worst part of it, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But their greatest challenge is the fact that the crash issue is inconsistent. Only certain PCs appear affected by it, and those not even consistently. Without a pattern, it's very hard to understand the trigger and fix against it. However, they made some strides towards unlocking further crash logs, something which has been difficult so far. These crash logs give them hope and ideas for further hotfixes to resolve the issue. They're taking today and tomorrow, so being the 5th and the 6th, to build and test a few new hotfixes against those particular logs. Should they prove effective, they could be in a position to release the patch early next week, but it's a very tentative hope. Only today, tomorrow and the weekends, further testing will be able to further confirm it. They know that it's going to be disappointing to read, however they don't want to release a patch that potentially destabilises the game further and is detrimental to the experience. They only want to release the patch once they're fully satisfied that it would benefit players and build on the progress they've made on the game since launch. So, with that being said, they don't want to release a patch that potentially destabilises the game further and is detrimental to the player's experience. Well, they already did that 3 weeks ago. They released the patch that caused the crashes. And I've not seen any user feedback. I don't know how many people are affected by it. I don't know how bad it's got. But they've said one thing and they've done the complete opposite. They released that patch that not potentially, it did destabilise the game further and it was detrimental to some players' experience. They only want to release the patch when they are fully satisfied. Well, they've done it when they're not fully satisfied before, and it hasn't benefited players in any way. In their general news, they have a resolution, a workaround, or basically a server-side fix that will automatically fix accounts for your accolades getting stuck at 99%. So they've managed to do that server-side. They don't need to do maintenance or anything like that. I don't even know if that's fixed. But then they said the below news is similar to last week's general news, but as it continues to be relevant, they're including it here again. So it's the same thing, saying they're looking forward to getting the patch out and seeing what kind of fun you can get up to with the new build options that don't actually exist. The only thing they've done is buffed a couple of things, and the majority of the changes to the player's skills is all based on cooldown reductions, and that is it. Then it carries on to talk about quality of life, which they have absolutely no idea how to deal with. But the thing I wanted to point out, they have now put their developers through working the weekends in order to get this stuff fixed. And it mentions further down, the delay of a patch such as this does not materially affect any of the work, fixes, and quality of life improvements that they have planned for the future. Those are still coming and will be discussed publicly when they have a proper date for their release. But their dates have been delayed because of this patch. They can't go, oh, this is patch 12 and we're working on 13, 14 and 15. We're going to release 13, 14 and 15 whilst we're still fixing 12. Everything else will be pushed back. Another thing that's going to be pushed back, if they actually meant what they said when they released the appreciation package, they put new content coming. If there is new content on its way, that's also going to be delayed. However, they don't need to tell you that because they haven't actually announced anything yet. But they have got their devs working 2 weekends in a row all the way through the week to fix this issue that shouldn't have even happened in the first place. They should have all of the crash logs ready. They should have everything there to fix this issue within, I'm going to say 4 to 5 days, pushing it at a week. There should be no way a AAA development company with hundreds of employees, no way should they be taking over 3 weeks to fix something like this. They said they pushed their patch back because of issues with crashing. They released it 2 days after that, and it just seems to be getting worse. It's pushing all the other fixes back and everything like that, and it's an absolute disaster. They say they can't wait to see players make new builds and all the options, like use all the options and have fun. Yeah, there's only like 1,700 people left at a peak time. And that's on Steam. You know that I check Steam charts a lot, so there's nowhere near as many players as there once was. And it's not going to pick up anytime soon because they say, oh, we're looking to get this possibly released within like the next 4 or 5 days, like early next week. They want to get this patch out possibly, but it's taken them over 3 weeks to fix this. So everything is now 3 weeks behind schedule. They say that it doesn't materially affect it. That's probably because these people working over the weekend are just working on the other patches and stuff, and they've just got a normal amount of people working on this crash issue. And to have your developers basically go into crunch for a couple of crash issues within the game, you need to just sort your shit out at this point. You can't go on like this. It's a bloody patch that you're working on, and you're making your staff work the weekend. They was working the weekend when the game first launched, and it's amazing because it's an extra 2 days that they can work on the game for within a week. But then they very quickly stopped it, and you basically go to your working 5 days a week, like your typical sort of work week. Well, now because of this crash issue and how bad it is, they've got their devs working the weekends again. And I don't think that's fair to the developers at all. Something is going on that is very, very dodgy with this game. And I don't understand why the developers are having to work all this extra time for a crash issue. You should have the tools there to fix what needs fixing. They've added extra analytics, telemetry, all that sort of stuff to the game. So have these logs ready. There's been crashes before, for weeks and weeks Xbox was crashing to dashboard all the time. The servers have non-stop been an absolute mess. This game was never anywhere near ready to release, but they rushed it out for April 1st. But probably because they've had 3 delays, or had 3 delays on the game already. They didn't want to keep delaying it, so they rushed out the release even when the game wasn't ready. And that won't be down to the developers, that'll be the publishers, the higher-ups, all the suits and the corporate side of it. So again, the developers probably knew the game wasn't ready. They didn't have everything set up, yet the game was rushed out to bring money in. It's exactly what happened with Cyberpunk, not on as big a scale, PlayStation and Xbox were completely broken. I mean, PlayStation 4, the base version, still is for Cyberpunk, but Outriders should never have been that bad. And again, it's just a case of devs being rushed. They don't have enough time. I mean, probably half the people that actually developed the game knew that it weren't ready. That's my guess. I reckon a lot of developers knew the game wasn't ready to ship, and they did it anyway because of the greedy investors, the suits, everything like that. So yeah, Outriders is still in an absolutely dreadful state. As I said in a recent video, it's over for the game. There's no coming back at this stage. Probably even with a gigantic DLC, you'll get a few thousand players in or something, and then they'll do the content and disappear again. But I mean, if you're gonna, if they do make content, they release it and you have to pay for it, then there's gonna be hardly any new players at all. But that's my opinion on what's happening with Outriders. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed it.